Hi, I'm Adam Lane Smith, an attachment specialist, and today I want to talk to you about why it feels so difficult to bond with people after a challenging childhood. Now, at first glance, this question may seem simple. Childhood sucked. Why would I want to connect with people? It's scary. Well, yes, but there's two hormones at play here that you may not be thinking about. Number one is oxytocin, and number two is vasopressin. If you've watched any of my previous videos, you've probably heard me talk at length about vasopressin and its bonding. But I'm going to talk to you a little bit about it today, just so you understand where we're at. Oxytocin is what bonds you to people when you feel safe and comfortable with them. Vasopressin is what bonds you to people when you feel nervous, hurt, scared, stressed, and you are solving problems together to feel better. Those are the two different chemicals, the two different hormones that you need to be aware of. When you have a troubled childhood, you typically will experience very little oxytocin if you're abused, if you're neglected, if your parents don't cultivate those oxytocin bonds with you, and if you don't have an extended family who can connect with you and give you those oxytocin bonds, your brain will stop seeking that oxytocin as much and instead will shift to more of a vasopressin bond focus. By solving problems, by making yourself feel better with other people's help, that's what your brain will say, those are the people I should trust and bond to. It is harder to bond during calm, leisure, care, consideration, even sex. It's harder to bond with people during those times through oxytocin if your brain is shifted toward vasopressin from a difficult childhood. The research indicates actually that your brain can become afraid of oxytocin bonding after you've had a tough childhood. Your brain says, this is unfamiliar to me. I don't think this is stable. I don't think it's sustainable. I don't want to get too invested in this oxytocin. I am nervous. I'm going to back off. The other thing that can happen is if you vasopressin and oxytocin bond with someone and you find a wonderful partner after a difficult lifetime and a challenging childhood, and then you find someone wonderful, you can become oxytocin addicted a little bit. It makes you very, very defensive and protective and jealous over that partner, and you can become very, very possessive, and you might hate that about yourself, but you don't know how to stop it. That, the research shows, tends to be normal for people who've had difficult childhoods. Now, the good news is that you can change those oxytocin bonds and those vasopressin bonds. Your brain changes throughout the course of your life through experiences. You can shift to vasopressin. You can shift back to oxytocin preference. You can do both. It just takes work, and it takes awareness, which is why I'm teaching you about it right now, and I'm also going to teach you about what to do about it. But you need to understand that if you did not get much oxytocin early in life, it's going to be scary when you do get it, and you're going to become jealous over it and want to guard it. That's normal. You can share that with your partner, and it does not make you a bad person. It just means you have some work to do. Your partner probably will find it at first endearing and may find it slightly more frustrating as time goes on because it can scale from being jealous and not wanting him to talk to other women or wanting her to talk to other men up to, I don't want you to ever talk to anybody. You're going to stay at home with me all the time. That's the bad version that isn't as endearing because then you become possessive and controlling over the other person. But the easier one to deal with is, I'm really jealous about other women and I'm going to glare at them when they try to check you out. I'm really jealous of other men and I'm going to just really at them when we walk by them and they check out your butt. And that's okay. A little bit of that is normal. It tends to be increased, at least a bit, during this shift, during that low oxytocin, high vasopressin shift. What it means is that your threshold for bonding to people is going to shift from feeling close and safe to them and snuggling with them. You may not bond as much at first through that. You may bond more through solving problems. So someone who makes you feel better, you will start to vasopressin bond with them. People that are in exciting circumstances, you may start to vasopressin bond with them a lot easier. You can introduce levels of small good stress in the relationship and vasopressin bond together on purpose. Go camping together, go on trips together, resolve problems together, play fun, competitive, or cooperative games together that are a little bit stressful. Do those things together, and you can vasopressin bond on purpose. Then introduce the oxytocin bonding, and then do it on purpose. Do oxytocin bonding on purpose. And you can have that conversation with your partner. You could be as mechanical as you want and say, I am realizing I have low oxytocin bonding, and I get really nervous when we're in emotionally close settings. because I don't think that they're going to last, I guess. My brain doesn't think it's going to, so it's kind of afraid of them. So can we spend 20 minutes every night just quietly snuggling on the couch under a blanket? Can we just do that on purpose till they start to feel comfortable? There's a process called systematic desensitization, which is a fancy way of doing something over and over and over until your brain learns that's not scary. That, if you oxytocin bond to your partner on purpose over and over and over, after vasopressin bonding, you can achieve both oxytocin bonding and vasopressin bonding, and the research seems to indicate you can shift your brain back from vasopressin only and being afraid of oxytocin back to a balance, bonding through both, not being afraid of oxytocin, not being jealous over it, especially if you start to use that with other relationships, with your friends, with your family, not just with your romantic partner, but also with friends and family. When you vasopressin and oxytocin shift and an oxytocin bond with several people, your brain will say, okay, this one human being isn't the only one on earth who can ever give me oxytocin. I've got oxytocin with him. I've got oxytocin with my mother, with my sister, with my best friend. We sit and we hold hands on purpose, and that helps bond us both, whatever it might be. That is how you get less jealous, less control freak, less paranoid, less only bonding through stress. That's how you can bond through oxytocin more with your partner. That's how you can do that with your friends, your family. You can bond to many people more through oxytocin instead of just through vasopressin, even if you've had a difficult childhood. You can do that. It takes work. It takes awareness, and it takes communication with the other people, because if you're just suddenly holding everybody's hand all the time, they might be confused, and they might not oxytocin bond as much with you because they're stressed, wondering, what are you doing? Why are you holding my hand while I'm driving? If you explain, I'd like to connect you more, and I've seen that holding hands can make us connect more, so I want us to do that more on purpose. That's an oxytocin bond. Okay, let's do that more often. Let's make an effort. At least 6 hours a day. No, as much as you need to, as much as both of you want to. Doing multiple oxytocin bonding activities. You can look these up online, how to oxytocin bond. But first, you need a vasopressin bond, and you need to be aware of all of this difference. If you can do that, it sounds like through the research, you can shift it back, and you can build a more fulfilling and more emotionally stable and more emotionally secure life for yourself and feel better. And that sounds like that's probably what you want to do. I'm Adam Lane Smith, an attachment specialist, and if you have struggled to bond with people through oxytocin, through calm and care, if that has seemed weird and uncomfortable and scary to you, or if you've been jealous about it, I'd love to hear from you. Drop me a comment or leave a note on my website, adamlanesmith.com. Thank you.